Well, good day to you. Great to be here. And again, I am Mark Maloney. How many people have ever heard a motivational speaker? How many people have been to an event where you hear one motivational speaker after another and you are just charged up and you're ready to go? And a week later, what's happened? Nothing. Nothing's happened. Yes. Guess what? You're normal. Tony Robbins, who's a famous speaker, he says that motivation is like a warm bath. I think he's right about that. It is. It makes you feel good. You're warm inside. But after a couple days, you stink all over again, don't you? You need another shower. What we really need is more than just motivation. We need inspiration. Inspiration is lighting a spark of something inside someone where you're already inspired to do it. Motivation is from the outside. I think the inspiration in being successful comes down not to cookie-cutter formulas. You will see them all over, right? These are the 5 steps to be a success. Here's the secret. Here's the 7 habits. Oh, I need more money. I just figured out an 8th habit. I'm not here to give you chicken soup for your soul. But I do think there is a path that is not as difficult as we may think in complexity, but it is difficult. And that path would be to start out by dreaming well. By dreaming well, I mean dream of something that you really love. If your dream is to lay on a beach and make millions of dollars doing nothing, I'm not here to give you that. That's a pyramid scheme. There are plenty of multi-level marketing people who will give you that. That's not what I'm about. I don't think success is necessarily tied to integrity. We look up every day and we see people in the newspaper who have millions of dollars but no integrity. I don't think it's tied to religious faith. People preach that. It's called prosperity gospel. The more you believe in God, the more money you make. I don't really believe that either. When I look at people who are successful, I see just a few things in common. First of all, they do dream well. They dream of something that excites them. Next is the way they go after it. They take the mindset that we are not brought up with. We're brought up with a mindset of mediocrity when it comes to everything except sports. The Olympics are coming up. What country is going to win the most medals? Probably the United States. We have a tremendous mindset of excellence for athletics. But when it comes time for test taking, for math and science across the world, who's not going to win? The United States. We finished near the bottom. There's a reason for that. We don't think the same way in school and in achievement that we do in sports. If someone takes tests in school and they finish way high in math, but really low in spelling, all of the teachers gather them around them and tell them to work on their spelling. Exactly. Work on your weaknesses. Would any of you walk up to a professional athlete making $100 million a year playing basketball and say, you need to stop playing basketball. You need to work on ice hockey because that's your weakness? That would be crazy, wouldn't it? But we do it every day in our schools, and that's what we need to overcome. We are about 40 years behind in our schools where we are in sports. We're just now getting to the point where we tell kids, hey, if you're good in computers, go to a computer camp, take AP classes. We're getting out of that work on your weaknesses. And if you think about it, if you work on just your weaknesses, you will have a lot of strong weaknesses. If you're lucky, you might even become mediocre. You'll be well-rounded, but you won't be sharp. I fell into this trap myself. I finished first in my class in the SAT test. So what did my father say? I want you to be more of an athlete. I want you to be one of the regular guys. I want you to do that. So sure enough, the academics took it to the side, and I became a very mediocre athlete. I think I made JV one year in a sport. Became one of the guys, learned to drink a lot of beer and do stupid things, and blew a scholarship to Penn State. So I'm living proof of this mindset of mediocrity. Let me take you to the next step on that. How many people here have a coach? I mean, well, you're here at Toastmasters, so you all have what kind of coaches? You have sort of a speech coach here. Amateur speech coaches, we're all amateurs here, we're not being paid. But what if you were a professional athlete? Would you dare walk up to a professional athlete and say, you don't need any coaches? That would be insane. So again, if you ever get confused on how to achieve your goals and be great, look at what professional athletes do, at least on the field. Don't look at what you were brought up in school to work on your weaknesses and ignore your strengths. Take, for example, Tom Brady as a quarterback for the Patriots in the NFL. He has a head coach, an offensive coordinator, a quarterback's coach, a strength coach, a conditioning coach, a sports psychologist, and someone who breaks down all the plays so that he can look at his iPad and see every game of all 16 games, every play of all 16 games, every week, and to do the study. I was watching the NBA Finals last year in Miami, and the Heat were playing Dallas, I think it was. I'm not a big basketball fan, but I was down in Miami at a conference, and I'm sitting there and the camera zooms in on a guy in the stands and says, there he is, Dirk Nowitzki's shooting coach. Dirk Nowitzki is one of the basketball players, and he has a coach that just works on him shooting. Think about some of the areas of your life where you could use coaching. Some people have personal trainers. Some people have speech coaches. Some people have business coaches. I have a friend who has an advertising agency that's very successful, and he has a business coach. And the guy grew up in the industry. He's successful. He's been doing it 30 years. He has his family. He grew up and his family was successful at it. What do you need a business coach for? What does she know about this business that you don't? He said, she holds me accountable. She holds me accountable for what I say. If she does nothing else but that, she is worth every penny I pay her. It's the same with athletes. They might be the most gifted athlete in the world, but they have a coach to hold them accountable, to not just flatter them. Just as we in this group like critiques for our speech. We don't want someone to just say, oh, you were wonderful, you were perfect, you have no room for improvement. That's not going to get you anywhere. Let me give you some examples of the most successful people of our time. And think about what they have in common. This is a little puzzle for you. Steve Jobs of Apple Computer. Bill Gates, Microsoft Systems. LeBron James, basketball. Kobe Bryant, basketball. Mark Zuckerberg, who created Facebook, a young billionaire. The guy who invented Sun Microsystems. What do all of these people have in common? They're super achievers. What is one thing they all have in common? I know they all make a lot of money. They're super achievers, but what do they have in common?
I don't think they finished college.
Thank you. Good. You are bright. Every one of them. Every one of them quit college. don't want you to take that wrong. They didn't just quit college, they quit the mindset of mediocrity. Bill Gates had 10,000 years of programming experience by the time he got to college. So he's in college, he's a whiz, he's wonder, he's doing what he loves, his passion, and he has all of these teachers and counselors telling him instead to work on his weaknesses. You're not good at French. You're not good at basket weaving. Forget you. I'm going off to be a billionaire and find my dream. Steve Jobs, thousands of hours building electronic devices and computers. Gets to college. Yeah, they want him to work on his urban studies, cuneiform. He wants to follow his dream. I didn't say they dropped out of high school, but they dropped out of college, and it's the same with the basketball players. LeBron James, he had gone through special high schools for basketball people. He was a phenom. And sure enough, he was coming out, and people said, oh, you need to go to college and get that degree in whatever. That degree in, what would you get, anthropology. And he said, no, I'd rather sign a $40 million contract with Nike and a $120 million contract with the NBA, and I'll buy 3 colleges. I can work on my strengths, not my weaknesses. So once you get up, you're in grade school, we all need to get our core competencies, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But after that, focus on what you're good at. Coaching is very important. Your coach doesn't just nag you or give you information. They're there to keep you going when you fail, because you will fail. I have failed. Think about it. Is there any athlete in the Hall of Fame of any sport who hasn't lost a game? Is there anyone out there who hasn't lost a lot of games? Is there a great quarterback who hasn't thrown 3 interceptions and cost his team the game? A great hitter who hasn't struck out 4 times? A great comedian who hasn't bombed more than once? A great speaker who hasn't flopped? No. But they kept going. Sometimes it was internal. But a lot of times it was someone on the outside who said, pick up and keep going. And that's really what we need. The coaches help us stay on track, keep going when we fail, make corrective actions, and that really ties into the third thing that I'm getting at. Habits. You are your habits, what you do every day. And we all have habits that might be holding us back. Maybe you hit that alarm snooze button every morning and you lay in for another 15, 20 minutes. When you could change that habit to a new habit of getting up early and working on something that you really love and inspire you and that you want to do the rest of your life. Something you see yourself doing. Lastly, let me wrap up with a call to adventure. I do a lot of sales, so you're probably expecting me to say call to action. But this isn't a used car, this isn't a house, this isn't a furniture set. This is your life. This is every minute you have left on this earth. So it's a call to adventure, the adventure of your life. The next time I see you, I want all of you to have a dream or a goal. Draw a picture of it, make it specific. I also want you to have a coach in one area to help you get that dream. And that coach and you should come up with one habit, new habit that is a good habit that will help you get there. So your call to adventure, next time I see you, you should have one dream, one coach, one habit. It is your life. Enjoy the adventure.